You know someone like this. He has brilliant ideas, grand dreams, a sparkle in his eyes like someone born for something extraordinary. He talks about incredible projects, lives on possibilities, but never brings anything to completion. He always has an excuse ready for each failure. It's not the right time, not the right person. The world does not understand him yet. Maybe he is that childhood friend of yours or a younger brother. Maybe he is your boyfriend. Maybe he is your father, someone who, despite his age, seems to have stopped in time. An adult who still behaves like a boy, emotionally unstable, averse to commitments, always seeking freedom and fleeing from any real responsibility. And maybe, just maybe, part of you still hopes he will change. Machiavelli names this psychic pattern Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy. It is the archetype of the man who refuses to mature, who lives eternally in transition, as if always preparing to live but never actually starting. He enchants with youthful energy, creativity, and spontaneity, but there is a shadow behind this charm, the inability to face the demands of the real world. The pure expects life to conform to his desires, that others will solve what he refuses to confront. He idealizes the perfect woman, the perfect job, the perfect life, and when reality does not match his fantasies, he flees, breaks away, gives up, and returns to a cycle of unfulfilled dreams. He sees himself as too special to submit to the mediocrity of routine, but in truth, he remains paralyzed by fear of failing, frustration, and growing up. If you have ever tried to help someone like this, you know how exhausting it is. You tire of giving advice that goes unheard, of offering support that is wasted, of trying to pull someone who deep down does not want to move. And the cruelest part, he makes you feel guilty, as if you were the problem for demanding too much, for wanting him to mature, for not accepting living in an eternal almost. But the truth needs to be said. This man you know is trapped in a fantasy of freedom that in practice becomes a prison of fear and immaturity. And if he doesn't wake up, he will grow old without ever truly living. This video is not an attack, it is a mirror. And if you watch this far, it is because something inside you recognizes this pattern, perhaps in someone close, perhaps even in yourself. The journey of the Puer Aeternus does not have to end in stagnation, but it can only change when the truth is faced head-on. Let's talk about that. Music. Now, the Puer Aeternus is not just a personality type. It is a deep archetype, a psychic force that operates unconsciously in thousands of men and is often confused with charisma, spontaneity, or a free spirit. But behind this light appearance there is something much more serious, an almost instinctive refusal to grow up. Machiavelli observes this pattern in many myths and individuals throughout history. The puer appears as one who refuses to leave the paradise of childhood, the psychic womb of the mother, where everything is cared for, protected, and resolved. He lives in the shadow of the promise of a glorious tomorrow that never arrives. He is the eternal son of the gods, the chosen one, the special one, but in practice, he never takes charge of his own life. You see this closely. Men who jump from job to job, always seeking something more meaningful, who start projects enthusiastically but abandon them at the first obstacle, who fall in love intensely but disappear as soon as the relationship demands maturity, who talk about spirituality, self-knowledge, freedom, but cannot pay a bill on time or maintain a commitment beyond a few months. It is not for lack of intelligence or talent. The pure often remains brilliant, sensitive, and full of potential. He has a vivid connection to creativity, inspiration, and imagination, but precisely because of this, he lives in the realm of ideas and escapes the weight of reality. He wants to fly without building wings, to have love without commitment, success without effort, the rewards of adulthood without paying the price of maturity. And when the world does not deliver this, he revolts, blames the system, blames parents, blames life, but never himself. Machiavelli says the Puer Aeternus suffers from a disconnection with time. He lives always in a not now, always waiting for something to happen first. The right idea, the right woman, the right phase. He exists in the when, never in the today, and because of this, he does not live, he merely survives, fed by dreams that become burdens. But there is another side to this story, because the Puer, despite immaturity, also carries a force that cannot be dismissed. He is the source of inner youth, creative imagination, the ability to reinvent life. The problem is not the boy within the man. The problem appears when that boy controls existence. This is exactly what requires understanding next, when the shine of the Puer begins to darken and the shadow takes control. Let's now discuss the dark side of the man-child and how it silently destroys everything around him. If this content resonates, click subscribe and join the channel. Thank you for your support. Something magnetic surrounds the man dominated by the archetype of the Puer Aeternus. He is light, spontaneous, speaks like a poet, dreams like a visionary, and lives as if outside of time. He does not follow rules, refuses labels, does not cling to anything, and for many, this fascinates. He appears free, and who does not desire freedom in a world suffocated by obligations, commitments, and empty routines? But here lies the trap. This freedom is an illusion, a carefully constructed disguise to hide what he fears most: reality. The Puer is not free. He is a fugitive. He flees pain, failure, rejection, frustration, the passage of time. He escapes responsibility for his own life, and every choice he avoids, every decision he postpones, every responsibility he transfers deepens his prison disguised as autonomy. You see this closely. He refuses a conventional job because he is born for something greater, but the truth remains that he fears routine, hierarchy, commitment. He refuses to tie himself to anyone because relationships seem like prisons, but in reality, he fears surrendering, being truly seen, held accountable. He claims to hate rules, but truly does not know how to deal with limits. The freedom he sells to others becomes a childish refusal to confront life's harshness. He wants to be eternal, light, unblemished, and for that, he must remain in constant motion like a balloon drifting in the wind. But time does not wait, and the real world sooner or later demands a price. Machiavelli says that Puer Aeternus remains suspended, as if floating between heaven and earth. He refuses to descend, refuses to root himself, refuses to engage with the concrete. But without roots, nothing grows. Without effort, nothing flourishes. Without pain, no transformation. True freedom is not the absence of limits. It is the ability to consciously choose what deserves commitment. But the Puer does not choose, he escapes. In this escape, he sabotages not only his own life, but gradually destroys those who try to love him. This is the dark side of the Puer Aeternus when promise turns into destruction. Let us dive into the shadow this archetype carries and understand how it corrodes everything around it. In the beginning, everything appears enchanting. The Puer shines with energy that attracts, inspires, and envelops. He is passionate, enthusiastic, unpredictable. But over time, that shine fades. What once was lightness transforms into absence. What was sensitivity becomes instability. And what seemed like freedom reveals itself as escape. At this point, the shadow of the Puer emerges. The man-child's shadow is sneaky. It manifests in small daily sabotages, forgotten commitments, missed deadlines, financial chaos, sudden changes of mind, broken promises. But all this wraps itself in a poetic narrative. I am not ready. I don't want to force myself. I need time. The truth is harsher. He fears growing up, making mistakes, judgment, ordinariness. So unconsciously, he sabotages anything requiring maturity. This self-sabotage affects everyone around him. Romantic partners live the anguish of loving a man who seems incredible in essence but absent in practice. He says he loves but disappears. He promises a future but never builds it. Family members feel frustration seeing wasted talent, intelligence, and opportunity. Friends grow tired supporting someone who lives in a cycle of almost. Behind all this, a suffocating feeling arises. He appears incapable of moving forward, trapped in an endless emotional adolescence. Like every archetype, the shadow of the Puer feeds on the unconscious. He does not realize he destroys himself and worse, believes others are the problem. He accuses the world of being boring, rigid, controlling. He sees those who mature as traitors to freedom and isolates himself more and more, believing he remains true to his essence when in reality he is a slave to fear. Machiavelli says enlightenment does not come from imagining figures of light, but by making darkness conscious. The shadow of the Puer must not be denied but faced. The problem is not that he carries the child within, but when that child becomes a tyrant, sabotaging the chance to live a full, real life. This sabotage has deep roots because the Puer is rarely alone. Behind him, there is almost always a silent presence that feeds his behavior and perpetuates his imprisonment, the symbolic mother. Next, we reveal the role of this hidden dynamico-psychic dependence on the eternal mother keeps the poet infantilized, and why breaking this bond is the only possible way out. No Puer Aeternus emerges from nothing. Behind almost every man who refuses to grow up, there is a silent figure, sometimes loving, sometimes suffocating, who protects him from the world, but also prevents him from facing it. This figure, in Machiavelli's analytical perspective, is the archetypal mother. When her presence becomes excessive, she transforms into the devouring great mother, the one who, instead of giving life, traps. This mother can be literal, a real overprotective mother who does everything for her son, never lets him make mistakes, always supports him in his falls, but unconsciously prevents him from developing autonomy. Or it can be symbolic, a partner who assumes the caregiver role, a grandmother, a feminine figure who protects, nourishes, embraces, and unconsciously demands eternal loyalty in return. The Puer then becomes a man who seeks in the feminine world not a companion but a substitute for the mother, someone who understands without demanding, who accepts without confronting, who supports without limits. This symbiotic relationship is comfortable but deeply destructive because it prevents confrontation with the world. As long as he is cared for, he does not need to act, decide, or grow. He remains in a state of eternal emotional childhood, waiting for the women around him to resolve what he refuses to face, the call of adult life. The symbolic mother is often trapped in this game as well. She believes she helps, she loves, but in reality, she feeds a cycle of psychic dependency that drains vitality from both. Machiavelli emphasizes that the greatest tragedy is when the mother refuses to let the child be born psychologically. Even though the body ages, the psyche remains immature, childlike, waiting for comfort instead of seeking grounding. This dynamic worsens when the Puer enters relationships. He falls in love quickly, idealizes the partner, places unrealistic expectations on her as if she should resolve all the internal voids he refuses to acknowledge. But as soon as the relationship demands depth, commitment, or responsibility, he flees, distances himself, sabotages, or worse, blames the other person because deep down he never wanted a partner. He wanted a mother disguised as a lover. Breaking this dynamic requires pain, separation, cutting the psychic cord. But this rupture initiates the true process of individuation. Growing hurts, but not growing hurts more. Now let's talk about the path to maturity and the inevitable price paid for leaving psychic childhood. It is time to look at the transformation process so the Puer can finally stop fleeing and begin to build his own internal structure. If what you hear resonates, you'll find real value in the ebook Beyond the Shadow. It breaks down Machiavelli's core ideas and gives tools to understand yourself more deeply. The link is in the pinned comment. There comes a moment in life when the disguise begins to crumble. Unfulfilled dreams weigh heavily. Failed relationships leave scars. Life, once full of open possibilities, starts to narrow. Then the man who still lives under the dominion of the Puer Aeternus faces the mirror and asks, How long will I live as if I have all the time in the world? This is the breaking point, the moment when the pain of remaining immature exceeds the fear of growing up. But those who think maturing is a smooth process are mistaken. Machiavelli does not spare words describing this path. Individuation, the process by which a human becomes truly himself, is a psychic birth, and like any birth, it involves pain, blood, and symbolic death. The first step is to face the collapse of fantasy, to understand that life does not wait for readiness, that no perfect moment exists, and no one comes to save you. It is to recognize that the real world is not hostile, but the only place where something true happens. Growing up does not betray essence, it builds it. But this requires mourning, the mourning of the idealized boy, the imagined life, the promises never fulfilled, and above all, the symbolic mother. Killing the boy within does not mean suffocating creativity, lightness, or dreaming. It means no longer using him as an excuse to escape life. It means allowing the boy to continue existing, but under the leadership of the man. Maturity demands construction, structure, consistency. It means saying no when escape seems easier, committing even when freedom beckons, working with focus even when inspiration fades, being present in relationships even when idealization crumbles. It means trading the ecstasy of the new for the transformative power of continuity. Here lies the secret. When the pure integrates into the adult man, he does not disappear to transforms. He becomes the source of creativity, vision, and intuition, now channeled by a mature, firm psyche capable of acting in the world. This is true rebirth, when the eternal boy stops fleeing reality and begins to build with it. But this process is not easy and does not happen alone. Many men at this point feel lost, exhausted, unsure where to start. They know change is necessary, that psychic childhood is over, but do not know how to take the reins of their lives. That is why this journey continues. Next, the message speaks directly to those at this crossroads, those who want change but lack a path. The time for truth arrives, and the decision to grow lies in your hands. If you have reached this far, it is because something inside you recognizes the urgency. Maybe you see this pattern in someone close. Maybe you see yourself. There is no shame in that. We all carry, to some degree, the temptation to remain children in a world demanding maturity. We all flee some responsibility, dream of shortcuts, hope life offers comfort before readiness to face it. But the truth is simple and brutal. Life does not wait. It demands, requires, tests. Sooner or later, you face the choice: remain trapped in promises or cross into fulfillment. This crossing is possible only when you choose to grow, not when convenient or perfect, but with courage to stop running. Machiavelli warns that those who do not confront their demons meet them at every turn in life. The Puer Aeternus is one such demon, hidden behind freedom, authenticity, misunderstood genius, but it corrodes roots and blocks solid construction. It does not disappear alone. You must face it, acknowledge it, integrate it, and above all, choose to be greater. Maturity is born when you stop waiting for rescue and start saving yourself. When responsibility ceases to be a prison and becomes a path to power. When true freedom means enough inner structure to choose what is necessary. Now, I want to hear from you. Which part impacted you the most? Comment honestly. Sometimes writing shapes feelings. If this video made you reflect, share it with someone trapped in this cycle, someone unaware. And it doesn't end here. The next video is just as vital. It reveals another essential piece of this puzzle. Keep watching. It may hurt, but it will free you. And in the end, that is what matters: real freedom.